I think we're live on here, but what I've got to do here? I've got to check my sound, make sure that I'm sorry about that. I just got through doing Instagram. So welcome to Scoot in the Air YouTube channel. It's Manic Monday, and I'm Scoot, and I appreciate you being with me. Let's see. Here. All right, a little unorganized tonight. So I just got finished watching this CNN special on President Trump and conspiracies. I mean, truly scary. Think about some of the conspiracies President Trump has attached himself to. Voter fraud conspiracy. Not true. And somebody named Greg Phillips just came up with this idea that there were 3 million illegal votes from illegals in the 2016 election. So that was the number that Hillary won the general election vote by, the general vote by, the popular vote by. President Trump won the game. He won the Electoral College, but Hillary won the popular vote. And that just so bugged him. So this guy just says, okay, well, there were 3 million illegals voting. Guess what? No freaking proof. The guy appeared on Chris Cuomo with CNN and he said, yep, I've got the information. Can you share it with me? No. And to this day, they still haven't come up with the information. What about Obamagate? Look, it's time to tell the truth about all this stuff. It's time to not be afraid about the backlash from people who will believe anything Trump says. I'm honest about the guy. So that was one conspiracy. And still, the president's talking about voter fraud today. So he's already saying that if he loses the election, it was fixed. So the only way that he could possibly lose is that it's fixed. So there's no way that because of all he's said and done, there's no way that President Trump can't lose the election. Well, that's in his narcissistic mind. There's no way he could lose. So if he loses, it's fixed. That's what he's preparing you to believe. But there's no proof of that. No proof. The voter fraud that Trump talks about does not exist. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. But people believe what they want to believe. So this is the Manic Monday stuff that we have to talk about tonight. Here's a comment from Shatney. Governor of Massachusetts, Charlie Baker, who is a Republican, signed an executive order for mail-in ballots this November. I've voted in 3 states, 3 that had mail-in ballots. And the voter fraud complaints are simply not there. There was some legitimate voter fraud in one of the Carolinas. I want to say it was North Carolina, a couple of years ago. A Republican was responsible for the voter fraud. And the election was, I think, redone because it was determined that there was voter fraud in that case. But in terms of voter fraud, swaying elections, in this case, it might have, so they redid the election. But a Republican was responsible for it. It's also fascinating to me that President Trump is against mail-in ballots, and the Republicans are against mail-in ballots because more people would vote. And they're afraid of more people voting. The more people that vote, the more threatened they feel, like they're going to lose. And this is why Republicans try to suppress voter turnout and suppress votes. Look, I was registered a Republican for much of my life. I'm a registered independent. I describe myself as a radical moderate. I've got opinions on every topic, strong conviction, but man, I'm not associated with either party. They're both bad. And Joe Biden is not a great candidate for the Democrats. Hillary Clinton was not a great candidate for the Democrats. So where's the Democratic leadership? I've often said on my radio show on WWL that Tom Perez, the leader of the Democratic National Committee, is weak, rudderless. And the more Democrats allow the progressive left to define them, the less chance they have of ever winning the White House. So let me go through another of these conspiracies that, okay, well, remember, President Trump based his political career on a conspiracy theory, the birther movement. The president insisted, as a private citizen, Donald Trump insisted that Barack Obama was not an American, was not born in America. His birth certificate was released, and it seems pretty well known that he was born in America, as long as you consider Honolulu America. And for some, that might be another story. There is this group called QAnon, Q-A-N-O-N, QAnon. Have you heard about QAnon? They're really nuts. They really are. This is a group that believes in conspiracies. This is a group that believes in things that it can't prove. This is the group that was partially behind the Pizzagate story and the election. The story in 2016 that Hillary Clinton and her campaign were involved in a child sex ring running out of a basement in a pizza parlor in a suburb of DC. You can't make this shit up. I mean, really. So a guy drives, I think from North Carolina, a guy drove to Washington, DC. He went there with a gun to save the children. Not only were there no children there, there's no basement. But these buffoons believed this story. And this is part of the QAnon mentality. Southside Central says, oh, Lordy, had to stomp down a QAnon truther today because of Wayfair furniture. What the hell? Now, these QAnon conspiracy theorists they're crazy. They believe what they want to believe. They're followers of Alex Jones' info wars. Well, there's an info war going on right now. The info war is about the truth versus the bullshit. The information war, the info war, is about the truth versus just made up stuff that makes it convenient for people to believe what they want to believe. That's the info war that's going on. So I don't know. Let's see where all this goes. Let's see where all this leads. It's kind of insane. I think there was another conspiracy theory. John F. Kennedy Jr. is still alive. He's still alive, and John F. Kennedy Jr., the son of the assassinated president, is working with Donald Trump behind the scenes privately to end the deep state. Seriously. I also learned this tonight during the special. The actual cases of voter fraud are less prevalent than the number of people being struck by lightning. So it's really not even a problem. Of course, there's fraudulent things done, sometimes just out of stupidity and by mistake. So it doesn't mean that every vote is perfectly recorded. It means that sometimes people make mistakes, and sometimes people try to commit fraud. But there are no known cases in the numbers that would sway elections. But Trump already has you believing that. All right, here's an interesting question. If Trump does not win the election, do you think he will physically leave the White House? Seriously. And what is that going to look like? I mean, they'll have an inauguration for Biden if it's Biden, if he doesn't win. And you know, look, Trump might win because Biden is a weak candidate for the Democrats, and there are a lot of people, like in 2016, who are embarrassed to say they support Trump, but they will support him. And I guess Trump doesn't care, because the key is to get elected, not care about whether people like. Well, I think Donald Trump cares about whether people like him or not. But the key is to get reelected. And so even if some people don't like him, if he gets reelected, then he considers himself to be a big winner. Anyway, have a good night. If you haven't become a subscriber, I hope you become a subscriber. Another episode of The Truth Behind the Microphone coming up Wednesday night. And that's where I share something kind of behind the scenes in radio or the media in general. I try to share with you stuff that goes on behind the microphone, because it helps you as a consumer of mass media have a better understanding of mass media. Toby says Biden is the best they could find. Really? I agree with that. I know. No, he's not the best, but he rose to the top. Hillary wasn't the best, but it was her turn. So you can see how screwed up the Democratic Party is right now. It's all on them. It really is. And so President Trump can be as wacky as he is in so many ways and still win the election, because the Democrats are just running amok amongst themselves. All right. I'm Scoot. Thank you for joining me here. Scoot on the Air, YouTube. Join me on Scoot on the Air Facebook tomorrow. And then also Instagram, Scoot on the Air. And join me on my radio show on WWL 870 AM, 105.3 FM in New Orleans and the Gulf Coast region. You can also stream the show on radio.com. The other day I had calls from San Francisco. I had a text from Palm Springs, California, and another call from Kansas City. So, you know, people are streaming the show on radio.com. Just download the app radio.com. It's free. And then type in WWL, and I'm on the air 1 to 4 in the afternoon, Central Time. Love you guys. Have a good evening. And thanks for being with me here on the SOTA YouTube channel.